Hello, fellow simmers. In this video, I would like to introduce new options that I've added to the conversion screen in Mission X. We will start from the LittleNavMap into Mission X in X-Plane. Let's start from placing our plane. This will be the position of the start. Again, I don't know exactly where it will be in X-Plane, but I hope it will be more or less the same. So we'll start around this ramp area. Let's choose a route. Again, everything is a suggestion for the simmer, but this is the route that we want them to fly. Here around the over the, okay, I don't know how to say this, Sutumna Lake. Now let's assume that we want to fly from Homer to the PAWD, what its name, let's see if it will give me, yeah, Seaward. Okay, let's fly to Seaward, but I want the simmer to fly this specific route. Now, if this waypoint will be mandatory, then the simmer must fly this specific route. But again, it depends on what you really want to make from this adventure, what you want that the simmer will experience. And experience is the most important part of this flight. Again, this is a suggested flight plan. And again, I'm trying to fly between the mountains. Yeah, now I can. Okay. And let's append another one. And this one, I can append airports to. No, this will be our destination. Great. So here we have a flight plan. Okay, this will be the route. And now all we need to do is save or export the flight plan as a LittleNavMap. I will export it directly to the FMS plans folder in X-Plane. And so far we finished with LittleNavMap. We define all the waypoints in our mission. And let's see how the file itself looks like. I will open just a second. Okay, here I open the flight plan itself, the file itself from the LittleNavMap. We can see the waypoint. Okay, and these are all the waypoints that I've just defined. Very simple, very straightforward. What we don't see here is the departure. There is no departure airport. And it's not a big deal, it's fine. But I would like to remind you, if you haven't seen the first video, the departure tag basically is also our briefer element. So if we have briefer, we have automatically a starting point. Your departure is your starting location, but it's fine because we can use the first waypoint also as the starting location. So we will see it in Mission X later on. Let's see how it will look if I will add a departure. Let's see. Okay. Set airport Homer as departure. Okay. And now we see the departure over here. Now, it doesn't make sense, okay, because the departure will be on the runway, but we want to start from the ramp, and this is why we see this strange line. We start here, but then we need to go to waypoint 1. Doesn't make sense. This is a little bit of an issue when you define your mission flight plan in LittleNavMap. If you want to start on a runway, yeah, go ahead, define a departure. If you don't want to do that, then you should start from a ramp area. Let's pick this one. I will just click it and paste it here. And I will remove the lead selected leg. Okay. And I will save it. Let's go back over here, reload, and we can see this should be our starting position, even though it is not a departure element. So now we need to hop into explain and import this flight plan. Okay, I've loaded the explain. We are situated in Homer and on runway 4, as you can see. I will open Mission X, go to the conversion flight plan, search for our, I think this is the one. Yeah. Let's open this flight plan. And we can see the list of waypoints. Okay, we can see also that the index starts from 1 and not from 0. Prefer will always be 0, and only if we have departure. So it is what it is. So what we can do is flag, and you can see this column BR. BR basically means briefer, convert leg to briefer. Only the first one can be briefer. So I will just convert it to briefer. Now we have the briefer button. We should write who is and estimate time. Let's say it will take 15 minutes. Again, this is not mandatory, it's optional. Weather setting, user preferred settings, set to, okay, we will leave it at that. Okay, so I've done a quick switch. I have changed the plugin, reload the plugin. This is the debug plugin, and I reload the flight plan that we started working on, and copy the relevant information. So right now we are going to see the new triggers that I've added to this converter. This trigger is a box one, and let's set it up. So this is again just for the example. So elevation, feet, it means that do you want the plane to be on the ground? How we fire the trigger, the event itself? Yeah, it can be on ground. And bottom left position. Now, this is something that you need to understand. We provide the bottom left position of the trigger area. Okay, now since it's a box, let's open the painter and think about it that there is a starting location. This is the position, and then we will define the heading. Okay, let's assume this is the heading, and we will also define the length. We will need 2 vectors for the length, and the plugin will create the box for us, okay, according to this information. So it can be a rectangular that points to, let's say that this is north, okay, so it's 0. We can also have a position here, but we will tell it, no, the heading now is here. This is the heading. So if it's the starting heading, then your box will be something like that. Okay, so just take it into consideration when you define your box area. So let's resume. I will resize. Okay. Thank you, Data Ref tool. And here I have a useful tip. I've used it a lot. I've showed it a lot. And many times I use it also when I try or configure a new mission. I just use the map. I move the plane in the map wherever I need. So it makes life a little easier. But in this specific type of trigger, the position is the camera position and not the plane. The main reason is that it's easier to move around with the camera. But when you want to move to a very far location, then move the camera with the plane to that area, and then move the camera to where you want from there. So right now we will create the location from where the position of the plane. So I will go back to the plane, press the C. You cannot write here, it's read only. And once you are done, you can see here we have the starting position. Now we have the first vector heading. So our heading will be that, the heading of the camera. Great. Now if this is the heading of the camera, it's around 55. You can see it's a +9 will be the second vector. You are not input anything, don't need to input anything. Okay, so it's going to be 144. What will be the first vector length and what will be the second vector length? Okay, so let's assume 100 meter is fine and another 100 meter, and okay, that should be enough. You can of course change it with the plus and minus, and you can see the length in nautical mile using in the tip. Now see, I will show you how I use the third button here, the C, it's the camera, calculate second vector relative to the first location. So this is the first position, so our second vector will calculate itself. So you can move the camera to a location you want, press the C, and then it will calculate the distance, and that will be inside the vector. Okay. So that is the idea. And now all you have to do is click the calculate trigger boundaries, and it will provide us with 4 points in our trigger elevation and volume element. Yeah, that's enough. We have a trigger, but please be aware, this trigger will fire when the plane will be on ground and in this physical area, but right now it won't do anything. It will fire and cease to exist. So what you need to do is to add your trigger outcome settings. And in this little pop-up, you defined, okay, which event I want to fire. Okay, I just want to fire when you enter this area. Okay, when you enter it, I want to send a message to the user. Okay, there are again lots of options, but I won't really explain how to implement them. I prefer to only to use the simpler one. You need to read the designer guide and then you will understand how to implement the other. Right now, there isn't a real implementation to the other one. So message name when fired. It means when you enter this area, an event will fire. So give a name. I will provide it because it's the latest. Yeah, it's the latest one. I think it was waypoint number. What was the number? Let's close this. Let's move this. 7. Okay. Then I will call it leg 7 trig. And then what I want, I can write, I don't know, runway 04. And then your message. You roll the plane to runway 4. Okay, nothing special. We apply it and okay, that's it. I have a message. Now, if you want to send a message when you leave this area and you want to use, for example, the same message, you say, oh, by mistake, I would like to send a message when I'm leaving this area. So just change it here in the combo box or the drop down list, press the apply, and now you have the same message when you enter this area and when you leave this area. But it might not make sense. Okay, you don't really want to send this message when you leaving the area. So what you do, and this is something that I also implemented in this version, you just remove all the text from this inputs and press the apply, and it will delete the configuration. That's it. There is nothing fancy here, straightforward. And this is our trigger. What you see here is the body of the trigger, and you can see here the outcome tag and the attributes. You don't see here the message. Okay, but the message is somewhere else. It's not part of the trigger. The trigger is calling this message. So I'm fine. I'm content with what I have here. We can have I think we can have a smaller, let's see. I don't remember if I 20, yeah. Press the tab and it automatically change it back to 100. Okay, so it's 100 by 100. I might change it in next build. And now we can click the create trigger, and we have a trigger. Again, the name of the trigger is defined by the plugin. It's not important. You can change it afterwards in the XML mission file. Yeah, clicking the trigger will show you what you have defined. Now, please remember, what you see in the input fields might not reflect what is defined in the trigger. The most important part is not to look at these inputs. I might change it in a later bit, but more important is to check this part. Okay, this reflects what the trigger is now holding, what is the information. When it's relevant, especially when you have multiple triggers. So I will add another trigger. This one will be a radius base, let's say 10, elevation feet. I don't care, just once you enter this area, position, I want the plane position. Okay, we have the camera position and user defined position. So plane position, trigger outcome settings, yeah, message name when fired. This one is again leg 7, trig, and runway 4 again. You know what? I want this one, runway 4. Enter message. I don't need to enter any message. I want to reuse a message. So we have this trigger will also fire the same one. Now it's very important to see that even though I use the plane position, it is not yet in the trigger itself. It's not here. It was not modified. So you must click the apply position. Now you can see it. Okay, if you want press apply and you press the create trigger, it will give you an error. The error will be written down here, so move a little bit this window and you will see the error message. And okay, now it's fine. Create, and now we have 2 triggers. First trigger is our box. You need to press the cancel, okay? And the second one is the radius, okay? I will cancel, and I'm going to add another one. This one will be a box. I don't care, and I'm going now to use the map. I will pick my plane, move it around. It's give it some altitude. Yeah, okay. And now we have this position. I will resize a little bit the map. And let's say once we leave this area, we want a message to be triggered, okay? So this will be the starting location, okay, of our box, the bottom left position. So we go back here, and I want to be airborne. And I can say above then, and then provide some 100 feet. Yeah, we should be around 100 feet. Shouldn't be. If you're not sure that you will make it, okay, try to maybe give it some elevation, but don't be on ground. Bottom left position. Yeah, that will be, this is my camera location. We are inside the plane. So where we move the plane, we get this position. If you want a different location, you can just go outside the plane, position the camera, and then press the camera button. First vector heading. Now we want the same vector as the plane, okay, because we want a rectangular trigger that will be something like that around the position, the end of runway 4. So I will again press C. We see that it's the same heading as the previous example. First vector length, 100 meters should be fine. And the second vector length. Now, I don't know exactly where the second vector length. Before, I didn't care. It was just an example. But right now, it's important for me. I want to, again, I can just press it and, 1 nautical mile. It can be a very long vector. So what I suggest to do is to pick the plane. Again, we have the starting position. This is important. Without the starting position, it won't work. And we will move the plane to the more or less the length that we want. Okay, this is the second vector, and we will click the camera. And now it configures how many meters. I think that there is a limitation, okay, how far you can. I don't remember by heart right now, but should be fine, should be enough. Okay, so in that nautical mile, it's just 0.4. Okay, great. Should be fine with us, with what we want. Calculate trigger boundaries. Calculated trigger boundaries. It means, okay, it finished doing it. You can see it here. Yeah, sometimes I saw this strange, you don't see 4 points. So let's calculate again, 4 points. I need to fix this bug. It's a known bug. I know it. It happens every now and then, but recalculating should fix it. Okay. Okay, why do we have the original vector length? The main reason is if you are looking on another trigger, you might see the other trigger values here. So at least the original vector will give you, okay, your vector's length where these are the original one. These are yours, okay, from the trigger element and not from the plugin itself. Because the plugin remember the last vector length. So you can get a little bit confused, and this should assist you in, oh, this is the other one. Message name, okay, we are still in when fired, yeah, when you enter. So any heartbreaking messages that you want, press the apply, see that it is defined here, close, and you can continue on. Now, why do we have this outcome and this field? It's because that this text shows you how the outcome element will be in the trigger itself. But you cannot copy anything. Okay, I cannot copy from here anything. And you might want to copy a value. So this is an input, a read-only input that you can copy. You can just even Control A, copy everything, put it in a different notepad, copy from there, and then paste it where you want. So this is just a widget to allow you to copy text. Okay, it's a helpful widget, nothing more. Okay, so we have the trigger event set, and now create the trigger. Okay, we have 3 triggers. And I want to show you what I mean by the values that you see here might not reflect the values that are in the trigger. So here this is the first trigger, and it shows you, oh, your vector length are 400. So this is an example for the mismatch values. It's not a big deal, but you might be a little bit confused. So this is why you have the original vector's length that reflects what the trigger original length are. So I will cancel the operation, and let's go back to our waypoint list. And here, this is our waypoint 6, and okay. On ground, that's it. I don't need to define it in the flight leg. I can just click here on ground. This is the last one. This is where I want the plane to be. I'm happy. I'm generating now the mission, and mission file was generated, no errors. If I would have not, again, define this flight leg, generate, you will receive, could not find any active flight leg. So we need at least one flight leg. Okay, our definition are here. You can see here a new trigger. This is built automatically by the converter code. This is your task, your mandatory location. This is what you want the simmer to do. Okay, so the simmer must reach this location, and this location is reflected as a trigger. So right now, let's open our editor. I open here the random.xml because that is the file that currently is being written to. So let's look at the file that was created. We can see the information that we entered. There are a few caveats because the mission name is mission from LittleNavMap. Maybe you want a different name. Okay, you can go ahead and modify it. There is the estimate time, written by, weather settings, if we and currently the mission image file is only random PNG, but again, you can always change it. Global settings, right now there is nothing special here, and this is the briefer. Starting ICO is waypoint 1. Of course, there is no waypoint 1. Starting leg is like 7. Okay, nice. Starting leg, it means what is the first leg to fly. So this is the leg here, leg 7. Okay, waypoint 6, which is the seventh length. Waypoint 1 was our first waypoint that we converted to a briefer. And location adjust, this is our starting location. And this is important, okay? This is where we will start. Elevation is 0. It means that the plugin will figure out the elevation by itself and then position it correctly. Heading, that was the camera heading that we filled in. There are, of course, other attributes, but they are not exposed to you right now. And even if they are not exposed, you can always come here and update the file itself. Now, I suggest not to do that yet because we might want to tweak a little bit few things. So let's go over. We can see the first leg, and it's also our last leg. We can see the 3 triggers. And the objective automatically was generated by the plugin and injected into this file or to the XML itself. The triggers that we created are leg-based triggers. It means that as long as the leg is active, these triggers are active. Okay, and if these triggers were fired, then okay, this trigger will be disabled afterwards. Load your mission. This is your random mission. This is what we have generated. Load the mission. If everything is fine, you will have the start mission. And now it will basically position you in the started location. Now this is good because now we can see if the heading is fine. This is what we want. If we want to change anything, this is the idea of checking what you have done. So since we are in pause mode, I will unpause. Okay, this is the first message. This is when the leg starts. I will pause again. I will go outside and I want to check the position. Okay, the location is quite good. Yeah, great. And now let's check the triggers. Now, this is a very nice trick for any designer, and I showed it before. If you have the debug build, and in Mission X debug build are the number here won't be even. Okay, uneven numbers and even numbers are the release. So it's the same code, more or less, okay? But this is what it means. So debug build, I can ask the plugin to enter designer mode and then toggle the queue information. Now I have hotkeys for that, but I just wanted to show you that you can do it without hotkeys. Once you do that, wait a little for a second or two, because now it will render. Of course, it has a hit on your performance, but for a designer, this is more important. So let's go up. We can see we have a box trigger. This is the first trigger. The red line here, this is the first position. Okay, so it starts to draw over here, and it went that direction and then that direction, and we have the box. The radial base is 10 meters. Now again, maybe 10 meters is too much, because 10 meter means that you have a length, overall length of 20 meters. Okay, so I might change the minimal values. The last one is over here. This is the position when you are leaving the area trigger, the runway, so not the area. And we said that we want it above ground, and we just gave it a certain height. Now again, this elevation might not be the best one. You can give it a little bit more. You have more options, but yeah, it is what it is right now. Okay, we just wanted it to be airborne, and that should be enough. If I remember correctly, the height of this trigger, the elevation, is around 40,000, something like that. But this is what it means: a box trigger that is also elevated a little bit, and it has a volume. Now, what you see at the far, this is basically your destination. Okay, so we need now to fly there. We're going back to our plane, and let's say, okay, I want to make a few changes. It's okay, but it's not exactly what I want. I want maybe a higher elevation for the box trigger. Let's open our Mission X, quit the mission. Now, as long as you haven't clicked the cancel, all the information is still intact in memory. So this might be a good thing. I think it's good. I found it very useful. And now I can go, and right now I haven't implemented deleting a trigger. Okay, so there is no deleting trigger. You will have to do it manually. Let's go to the other trigger. Again, here you can see that the values, original vector length, are the same. Again, this is because how I stored information inside the plugin. But the most important part is the trigger part over here. Okay. So let's go again to the trigger outcome. We can see here that the legs, okay. Did we have any message for it? Yeah, you depart from runway 4. Okay, it's okay. I don't need to do anything here. Let's try and modify this trigger. So here is the trigger that I want to change the elevation. And unfortunately, it won't scroll. Okay, so I want to change the trigger elevation. Now again, this is an ignore. We're not ignoring anything. This is part of what I said. You need to read what is written here. And here we can see 20 feet above ground and above. Okay, this is fine by me. We'll change it to airborne. This is something that I like to use, but because the trigger is long, I will tell it, look, the minimal elevation group above ground, sorry, will be 100 feet. Calculate triggers and update trigger. Let's go back, generate, load again the mission itself. Okay, we have these two triggers and we have this one, and we can see that this one now is a little bit higher than it was before. Let's change the box trigger over here. We have this radius-based trigger. Let's go back, quit. Now again, the nice thing about the conversion is that as long as you do not cancel, you can still continue, add, change, modify, of course, information. So this is the radius, this is the box. Yeah, this is the first box. I can now tell it, look, I want it airborne. And you can see this is the previous value. I want it 20 feet above ground. The point location should be fine. Okay, this one is the first from here. So I will update the trigger with this information. I will close generate and open again random mission file, start, and let's make sure that what we have done is what we expect to see. And yeah, we can see here is the trigger 20 feet above ground. The radius base is on ground, and we have another one at the end of the runway. So let's test these triggers. Let's just change the location. Again, you don't need to move the plane. Okay. So we are inside the trigger, the radius base trigger. Let's check. We haven't heard anything. Okay, I don't hear any sound. Good luck. Okay. Let's check the MX pad. Yeah, only fly safe. So nothing here. So I believe that the reason that we don't have any message is because we don't really have any message. So it makes sense that we won't hear anything. And we can double check that. We go to the first trigger. Objective, trigger here. This is the radius based, and it doesn't do anything because I deleted. Okay. So this is very simple to fix. We can do it again. If I will change it here, it will work. But if I will go back to the conversion page, okay, I will quit again. Oh, not this one. If I will go back and modify here and then regenerate again, it will override what I'm doing here. So don't modify this file until you decide that's it. I'm not going to use the conversion screen. I don't need it anymore. I can do it. I understand more or less what to do. So just to show you the idea. Okay, this is the end of runway. This is trigger. You roll the plane to runway 4. Exactly. This is the message that I would like to send from this specific trigger. So trigger not poly, rad, message name when fired, this one, and now it is set. Great. Now, why this, the first one, the first trigger, the box trigger didn't fired? Very simple. We were above ground and plane is on ground, so nothing was fired. Makes sense. Save this modification. And now I can, now again, I'm not generating, I'm loading the mission. It will position the plane again at the starting location. Now we hear the message. Again, if I want to continue and work with the conversion screen, it's not a good idea to modify here. Maybe you want to modify here just to make sure that what you want will work, but then I'm going to come back over here, conversion, flight leg, it was trigger, this was the radius based, 10 meters, trigger outcome, and here I need to put the correct name. Okay, I was wrong back then. I don't need a message. Okay, if there is no message, no problem, it will just write it over here. Great, close, and I believe that we can update safely the trigger and it's fine. Leg 4 task trigger, this is wrong because last trigger is on ground, and on ground the radius base should be around 60 meters, and this is too much. So I can now fix it. Okay, 2000 meters is for airborne. If you're on ground, it should be only 60 because 2000 is really large radius. So I change it to 60. Don't need any position change, and I can update the trigger. If you want to double check this, you can just click this one. You can see 60 and you can see the position. Okay, fine. Let's cancel the operation, go back, generate, and let's have a look at the file. It's important to know how to, that you have a good workflow to understand that the changes and where to find them. Okay, so this, for example, message, I want to see it in trigger 7. Okay, great. We can see it in both triggers. No problem by me. Of course, I don't want this first trigger, 7.2, but I don't have remove triggers yet. So it is not implemented, and yeah. A few words regarding the GPS. What you see here are lots of attributes for the GPS points. Basically, Xpen only care about this location, and we use also some information from these attributes, and that's it. The other one are for relevant for moving object maybe and stuff like that. We see it here. Again, I might modify a little bit the code for this, not sure, but it doesn't hurt to see all these attributes, even though they are zero based. Okay, so we have this very nice basic mission file. I'm not pressing the cancel. I'm going back to the load mission. I want to see the outcome of my modifications. Again, I don't know why it takes so much time to load. We are just moving few feet here and there. Again, let's take a look here. Now we can see here the above the ground trigger. And oh, this makes much more sense. This little dot here at the horizon, this is our end location. Okay, this is our target. So let's fly to this target. Now, don't worry, we're not going to fly. We need to figure out the name of the ICO PAWD. So let's position our plane in PAWD. Keyword PAWD, customize. Yeah, I think we can. Maybe I will put here just to be far enough from it. Let's wait a little bit. Okay, so we are positioned. We are positioned here. Yeah. Okay. Now let's see. Oh, I see that the okay, this doesn't make sense. That should not be. This trigger is not located where it should have been. So we are missing. Oh, it's over there. So, so let's see what this is all about. Just a second. Okay. This doesn't make sense. It's like the waypoints just got mixed up. It doesn't make sense. Location doesn't make sense. And let's check it. Should have been here. This is great. This is quite great because we can see here. I'm not sure if it's a bug or something in what we have done, but let's quit here. Let's go to the conversion. Oh yeah, let's see. WP6 is location and CWAR is a waypoint. And let's go to here. We can see this one, 6. Oh, CEWAR, this is the waypoint. And that is the last location. And from what I see, it is not in the file that we have read. Just a second. This is strange. CEW waypoint and CEWARD is an airport. Let's go back. So look. Scroll bar. Scroll bar. You can scroll. Yeah, it's funny. I know. You can laugh at me, but these things can occur, even to me. So, okay, now, problem is, it's not a big, yeah, it is a problem. It's not a big problem. Okay, so I'm removing this, discarding. So all triggers that were defined here are irrelevant anymore. We need to create a new one here, on ground, flight leg. Good luck. Yeah, the positive, I mean, not everything is bad because we have all the messages here and we can copy and paste, of course, if we need, but I haven't done anything special. So good luck and fly safe. Again, it's not going to be copied anywhere. Add trigger, we want to have to see the, let's see. We need the beginning and the ending. So let's take the camera. We are here. No, I'm not going to create right now anything. I will cancel this because I want to show you how it will look right now. Okay, so now it makes sense because waypoint 6 is above ground, and if it's above ground, the default radius is 2000. So that should have been the first red light. But okay, let's generate. Find by it. We have a new one. It basically, now we see that the first leg is leg 8. This is very nice. So let's start the mission. Let's load it and start it and see what is happening. Okay, we don't have the triggers here, which makes sense. because they're not here anymore. And I think I see here. Let's again change locations to okay. Let's navigate. Okay, so now we are situated in the correct location and we can see the end location. Okay, there is a discrepancy between where things are in LittleNavMap and Explain. Yeah, no, I am the cause of this. Okay, makes sense because this location I thought it was because I just right click and said this is the destination instead of picking a ramp location. That would have been the correct thing to do. But it's not a huge issue because we can fix that later. Because if I'm going to change now the location of the last position, okay, if I'm going to pick one of these location and just say, okay, append it to the position and then remove delete selected, I will have to save the flight plan and then I will have to reload it and start from scratch. So for minor modification stuff, you don't need to start from scratch. Okay, so I have no problem with that. There are easy way to fix this. I will show you now one of them. Again, do it after you finish working with the conversion. Okay, now let's assume we finished working with the conversion flight plan. We're not going to use it anymore. Okay, I will have to, of course, click the cancel for that. I won't do it. Instead, what I'm going to do is open here our mission file, locate the flight leg and the position of the target, so the task. So this is the task, this is the mandatory task. So this trigger holds the location, okay, and this is the end location. So what we need to do is just to fix that location. I will show you how easy it can be. We can just open the map. You know what, you don't even need to open the map, just reposition using explain on, let's say that this is the end position that we would like. Let's start in this location. Great. Maybe the heading is not what we want, but it's not important for the end location. We would like that this area will flag as success. Okay, so I want this specific location. Again, there are all sorts of ways how to do that, but I want to show you how you can extract the location using a command that is part of Mission X. It is for the designer, of course. It's not. It should not be used by the simmer. We can write plane coordinates to log file or write camera coordination to the log file. So these are the hotkeys that I am using. I bind them. Okay, so I will open the log file, go to the end of it, and you can see mission X, point, lat, long, blah, blah, blah. Let's copy it over here. Let's remove the mission X, it's not relevant, and I can use this point. Now, all the information that you see here, elevation, heading PSI, it shouldn't be an issue, okay? Because it's not going to use it, it is for other stuff. So it's for templates and stuff like that, and moving object. So for the point location, we just need the lat, long, and that's all what we need. I can save it, reload the mission. Oh, now it says, because I don't see it, it means that there is something wrong with the XML file itself, probably a character that shouldn't be there. And we can see we should be able to see in the log file an error, XML parsing error here. You can see it random. It says at line 48, column 14. So I'm missing something. Point line for the it's good because if I will find this is 48 and 14 point, and the point is ending here. So everything looks fine. Don't really see here the problem. So what I'm going to do is ask it to show me special characters, and you can see here that there is a tab, and maybe it is sensitive to this. So I don't know. Other option is just to copy all this, delete it, keep only what is needed. Flat, long elevation fit. I don't even need this elevation fit. Let's try again. Save it. Out and load mission. Yeah, now we see it. So let's start again the mission. And we can see the end location. This is the trigger. 60 meters should be fine. We will roll the plane to that location, and then we will see the end window. So I will reposition the plane. Oh, great. Better than I thought. Oh, great, great, great. Let's start the engine. Beautiful. This is the end. We can click the stats, but there are no stats. We didn't fly. Let's go back to the image. You can click the image, but yeah, your mission is done. Now you need to add content to it. Okay, we have seen how we can add triggers, how we can do some stuff, but you've seen that my mistake basically caused me to erase all the work that I've done. But that's okay, because I think it's quite simple and easy to add these triggers. I'm still thinking of adding a new kind of box trigger, because this box is asking you to position or define the bottom left position, and not everyone can get their head around it. Okay, this is your bottom left, so everything will be from the plane and the right to the right in this case. Okay, if I was positioned like that, okay, then again it will start from here, but it will be to the left in my case, but to the right of the plane. So it will always, the boxed area will always be generated to the right of the wing of the plane, if that makes sense. So the other trigger that I want to, maybe a variant of this trigger, is that you will define the center of the box. It is not yet implemented, not in this build. You will define the center of the box, provide the vectors, the first vector heading, no problem with that, and then first vector length and the second vector length, and it will just do like a radius. Okay, the second vector will be the right and left, okay, to the right and to the left. That will mean that will be the, or it will be half of the second vector length. For example, if there will be 100 meters, it will be 50 meters to the right, 50 meters to the left, and you are in the middle. Okay, that is, I think it might be easier for people to just, designer to just place the triggers correctly. But again, it is more option, I think, is better for designer. Okay, I see it as easier to implement. I hope you enjoyed this longer than I thought video. I hope you learn from it. I believe that, again, if I want to add a little bit more content, what I would have done, I would just move the plane to this location. Oops. To this location around here, say something about you reach this lake, you can turn right to the valley or whatever, and we can also add another trigger here or trigger here just to let the simmer know, okay, you need to continue with this route. Great. That is the idea. That is the idea of sharing adventure or creating the adventure for other users or even for yourself. If you just want to fly a flight plan, then you don't really need all these conversion stuff. Okay, you can just export LittleNavMap into a X-Plane format and use it. So thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.